awake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight.
Hello and welcome to Lunch Therapy. So many creative things going on in my mind. But what is holding me back from realizing my full potential and manifesting what I want? Is it that man in the cloud with the disapproving look? Who is he? Does he not like me? Does he want me to manifest my future? Let's meet our guests Larson and Bill McKenna to see if they have some answers. Hoi. And welcome to Interview Friday.
Hello everyone and welcome to Interview Friday. I'm your host Joel Marshall. Today we're going to be interviewing some folks, Liz and Bill. They do this really interesting thing. We're going to get into that. I just want to tell you also that tomorrow we're going to be in West Hollywood with Equal Means Equal, fighting for equality of rights under the law. We've got this cool Liberator shirt that I think we'll be selling at a desk there, so come on down. We're going to have our own booth. Equal Means Equal. It's for Pride Week. Anyway, so that's going on, and then also next week we're going to have a guest that we've been trying to get for a long time, Beth Lapidus. She's a hilarious comedian, and she runs this thing called Uncabaret. She's been running it for 30 years, and she also sings, and it's just an amazing run that she's had. She's just a veteran comedian, so that's going to be really cool to have her on there meaning on here. I got some beautiful waves behind me. Let's see what Equal Means Equal says, because we're going to be going down there. The booth is at Hancock and Santa Monica Boulevard. Look for the bubbles. So if you're down there in West Hollywood, anybody who happens to be down there, come on by and see us. I think Joe Fury is going to be there, probably a lot of hummingbirds. Let's get into the show, because this is going to be super interesting today, because I think we're going to learn something. I'm going to get myself a modem. 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 All right, as people know, hey, Blas, you got your LA Dodgers hat on.
Joe Marshall.
That's cool. I love it. Are you excited today? Because we're going to learn how to keep our mind right a little bit better. We're going to learn about the subconscious. We're going to learn about manifesting things. And these people, they've got a really unique take on this, something they've developed through on the shoulders of others, I imagine. But we're going to find out what their inspirations are and all the different stories they have. So are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's Friday. We got Pride Month going on over here. This weekend's going to be a lot of fun in West Hollywood. Yeah. Equal Means Equal's got a beautiful booth, and we're going to be so excited getting the communities together. I've talked to so many people about the weekend, and some of them have been trying to kind of recruit for us for the booth. And everybody's working on something. Everybody's working on something for the weekend. It's going to be fabulous, just fabulous.
Cool. Totally looking forward to it. Are you going to be playing music there?
We're going to have music at our booth to draw some attention, get some people to come and hang out with us. Maybe we'll videotape some people that come in and come to the booth. We'll do some videotaping so we can share some of the stuff on the show.
Plus, we can get some awareness about the Equal Rights Amendment that was ratified in the United States, but it still hasn't been put in the Constitution for us.
And the team finally got a bunch of great signatures from the sign-offs from the states. So really, all it is Biden making a phone call, shoving a memo, an email, whatever it is. Let's get it in there. Let's get it written in.
Going, right?
That's all we need. That's all we're looking for. We're looking for equal means equal. That's what we're looking for.
That's what we're looking for. All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been 100 years since they wrote the Equal Rights Amendment. Alice Paul
And
put
it's
it
still-
together. And it's still finally ratified, and nobody knows about it. I don't know why, but politics. All right, let's breathe now.
All right, let's breathe, because you got some great guests. Good job.
Yeah, I want to get to the guests. Today we have Healing Chakra Vibrations. This is another channel of Healing Vibrations. It's just about chakras, and it's brand new, so get over there and subscribe. I chose the root chakra today because what Bill McKenna and Liz Larson, who are our guests today, what they deal with a lot of times is aligning chakras, which is perfect for this show because we talk about chakras all the time. And also programming the brain. So that's kind of interesting as well. So it's going to be really cool. But let's breathe. You want to lead the breaths? Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I don't know why. Yeah, go ahead.
Out through the toes. Okay,
that
3 deep
was
breaths. We're going to
Bones.
hold them, and then we're going to release them. All right?
Yeah.
Welcome to Friday, Lunch Therapy. Deep breath. Hold it. Let it go. You let that go, you let it go.
I need that one.
I'd like to take a deep breath for at least 4 seconds. Hold it for another 3 or 4. When you release it, let it all out. Let it go. All the way out. Shake it out. Let it out. Oh, I feel so good. I like it. All right. It's our last breath, you guys. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Let it out. Listen to those sounds. All the way out. Release your shoulders. Shake it out. I hope Liz and Bill are breathing too, you guys. Keep it on the show any minute.
Yeah,
That
all
feels
right,
good.
I'm
That
feeling
feels
good
good.
now. I'm
Yeah.
feeling like I calmed down a little bit.
Yeah. You've been excited all week. I know.
I get so excited about this kind of stuff. All right, so let's get into this thing. I'm going to do a little intro, and then I'm going to bring Liz Larson on, and then I'm going to bring Bill on. I'm going to bring them each on individually, and then bring them on together. So then we can talk about their individual paths, and then how they came together, etc.
Boney, watch for our signals, all right? We want to make sure we have enough time for both of them.
You know, Howard says sound baths versus sound showers. Thoughts? I didn't know about sound showers.
I'll tell you the difference.
Yeah.
The sound bath is so soothing and calm.
Yeah.
Where the sound shower has that constant flow of water.
You don't know anything about sound shower,
So you're getting yourself the energy from the shower. The shower.
Is that
But
like when you take a
sound
shower
bath
and
is
you
just
listen
calm.
to a sound bath? You know, I prefer baths myself.
Oh,
I must say.
people that don't take baths are missing out. You're missing out because the tranquility that comes with a bath is unbelievable. You just got to tell your kids and anybody that's in your home to don't touch the door.
You know, you're weird. Anyway, let's get into this thing. It's called Lunch Therapy Interview Friday, powered by the hummingbirds.
All right, here we go.
Okay, a little bit of an intro here. Liz Larson, Bill McKenna, they have a thing called cognomovement. It's a process that they've developed that helps you with, your subconscious. From what I understand, this is what I understand. You have a subconscious. It affects things that you do, the way that you think, but it's so, it's hidden from us. So we don't even know it's affecting us sometimes. And they have developed a way using physical space to affect your subconscious in a positive way and change things that you want to change about yourself. So that's my take on it. Of course, we're going to hear from the experts. I found out about them from my friend Vernis Clear, who is an acting coach, one of the best. She's been on the show, but she sent me an email saying, look at these people. I think you ought to check them out. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. Maybe I can get them on the show. And you know what? Today's the day. So let's get into this thing. We're going to talk to Liz Larson first. It's Interview Friday. Glad to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having us. What a fun show. You guys have the most amazing graphics. It's really
Thank
cool.
you. That's my assistant, Boney. It's really attributed to him. He really does his work. He's been working on it,
awesome.
Working to the bone, as it were. We got somebody, Kamala says, hi, Liz. So let's get into this thing because I want to find out. So you've been doing therapy. It's very interesting therapy, or I don't know if it's actually called therapy, but you help people. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started on this path of helping people?
You know, I think this is what I was born here for. In fact, I've had a few astrology readings, which I don't know much about, and it literally says this thing, you know. But it took a long time to get here because, you know, I didn't want to do it.
You didn't?
But not necessarily. I was going to be a singer and an artist and then a business person and, you know, anything but that person that hears other people's problems and helps in solving them, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out I had the sign on my forehead, ask me anything.
Really?
And, you know, weirdly, I would know the answer even as a little tiny kid. So I really came on the planet with this as my mission and the tools to do it. But what really was the catalyst for me to finally get in and start doing the work for real and publicly was that my parents started to have brain disease. My dad had Alzheimer's. My mom had Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. And at that same time, I'd begun to study neurolinguistic programming with a focus on brain remapping specifically.
Yeah.
So I would have to drive to Seattle and back every week, 7 hours. I live in Southern Oregon. And I would be listening to Dr. Stephen Deutsch and, you know, the ways the brain heals and anything I could learn about neurology to see if I could save their lives. Wow. And man, I got a huge education in that couple of years. And immediately, the year after I finished my master NLP certification, I met Bill McKenna, and this work came to life. So for me, it's about always asking questions of curiosity and being 100% sure there's always an answer if I can ask enough questions. And, you know, really, that's how I got here. That's the short version.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it probably takes a lot of energy to always be helping other people because you probably take on their energy a little bit. But how do you keep yourself going and keep yourself healthy when you're around people that, you know, you're giving?
Oh, this is a massive question. And we get it from our practitioners all the time. And we build it into our training. And as cognomovement practitioners, what we know is that we become absolutely fascinated what's happening in the neurology of the person in front of us. And we stay the heck out of the story. What we know is that the answer is there, and that's what we're looking for. We're constantly asking that next question, looking for the answer. So we always flow energy outward just a little bit in this lovely, just flowing movement. And we don't have energy coming back in. It doesn't stick in our bodies. And it's the way we look at the body in front of us. We are neurological detectives. We're watching for every subtle movement in the eyes and in the skin and in the body in general. And we become so fascinated that there's just no chance that something negative is flowing our way. The other thing is that we stay the heck out of the story because we know in about 30 seconds, that story is no longer going to be true. In about 5 minutes, we're going to be on to a whole new reality shift. At the end of an hour, when we ask that person, okay, when you came in, you had this huge lifelong problem, 10 out of 10, they'll look at us like, what are you talking about?
Really?
No kidding. No joke. What? We'll say, well, when you came in, here's what you came to see me for.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. What there's no sensation for in the body, the brain doesn't give a crap about. And so that's what we're witnessing. The brain just is like, what do I care about that? I'm not feeling that anymore. So it's gone. So if we bought into their story from the beginning, we'd be lost. We know for sure at the end of that session, it'll be a completely different story, completely different timeline. And the person in front of us will be a different person entirely. So that's a long way around. How do we not take it on? But we just don't. It's a different way to look at what we're doing.
And you have like a perspective on it. It's like a perspective. Like,
Yeah.
it's like this is all just going to dissipate. And
Yeah.
so it's not as much of a concern for you as it is maybe for the person who's having it.
Yeah, because we know the story is essentially a combination of a lot of experiences that the nervous system gathered into one feeling and one problem or one series of problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way that our nervous system takes care of us, tries to keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns those things that feel similar, those problems, those issues, into a lion that's on our butt all the time. Mm-hmm. Creates a sensation in our body, a feeling. We all know it. It's so familiar, that being held back, that stuck, that afraid, that anxiety, whatever it is. We think it's actually us. But it's just a driver that our nervous system has set up to try to keep us safe. What we do in cognomovement is we collapse that driver. We push the delete button and show the nervous system a more resourceful way to be. Or what you mentioned earlier is a subconscious. Mm-hmm. And we interchange the two, subconscious and nervous system, because the subconscious is just a description for something that's below our consciousness, something we couldn't find before. Mm-hmm. But it's all over your body. Literally, every sense that we have displays what the pattern our nervous system is running or our subconscious is running. And if you know how to look for it, you can see it. If you can see it, you can find it. And if you can find it, you can adjust it. And that's what we do. Wow. So we found a key into that subconscious.
That's so interesting. Okay, we're going to get more into that. I'm going to bring Bill on. We're going to find his origin story here. And then we'll see you back after that. Thanks,
okay.
Liz. So here's Bill. All right. Okay, so Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Good to see you. How are you doing?
The clapping thing is just great.
Isn't it great? We got to have an audience, right? Because they can't clap from their homes.
Just makes you feel good.
Where are we finding you right now? Where are you? Where do you live?
I'm in San Diego, California.
Oh, nice. Beautiful there. Yeah. So great to have you on the show. Thanks for being on Lunch Therapy.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. I've been learning all about your the things that you do, but I do want to find out, how did you come to this? From what I understand, you had a very different lifestyle before this, which I find this true of many people that I've had on my show talking about their therapists, that they had some other kind of life, and then there's something happened and they were like, I think I'm going to go on a different path. Is that what happened to you? Exactly.
I mean, I had absolutely no intention in the world of being on this path. I would say, very embedded in the three-dimensional world. My life was all about making money and money, cars, helicopters, women, that sort of wine women song.
Did you fly helicopters? I think I heard that somewhere.
Oh yeah. I had a few of them, and
oh my God.
Enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah.
I had a nice sized yacht, and one day on my way up from Mexico back to the United States, I ran into an uncharted rock in Mexico and in the middle of the night, and anyway, bottom line is Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events turned into kind of a massive spiritual awakening. And I had, for lack of a better term, I know we don't have forever, so I can't go into all the story, but for lack of a better term, this awakening happened with a very abrupt crown chakra opening, which I didn't, that word, by the way, people listening right now know about chakras. For me, chakra.
You didn't know anything about it.
No, that's Indian food, and I'll take it with tandoori with the too spicy. I never even heard the word before.
Wow.
And anyway, it happened inadvertently, and ultimately it happened through forgiveness and a quest to, interestingly enough, get intuitive abilities. I was kind of put into a situation where I understood that there was another realm. I got the window opened up and I was like, oh my God, there's something over there. And there's the reality of psychic abilities, intuition, all of a sudden was like, I know somebody that it's freaking true. And I read a bunch of books and they said, listen, if you want that ability, you got to forgive, because your resentments are very dense, and that realm of intuition is very light. And so,
that's so interesting. Resentments were keeping you back from that.
Yeah. Resentment of all things.
Yeah.
And I was not only the captain of my yacht, but, captain of resentments as well.
Why do you think you were so resentful if you had, the things that you dreamed for, you dreamed about?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a really good question. I wrote a book about that called The Only Lesson. It's basically the only lesson we're here to learn. And it doesn't make any sense, right? Because you didn't hear the whole story. But, I grew up in what I call a traditional Irish Catholic upbringing, which is, alcoholism, mental illness, and physical and emotional abuse. So with that, I had, way I interpreted it all was resentful, and I just went through life that way,
I see. Yeah. And almost maybe some of the acquiring of things and proving things to yourself, you were proving something to this resentment that you had, trying to say, I'm better than this, but you still could never get away from it. Is that kind of?
Yeah. You can't ever accomplish your way out of it, right? You can't million or billion your way out of it.
So can you be a little bit more specific? I know you don't want to tell the entire story, but how did you get a head trauma, or what happened that opened this chakra? What was it? Or was it just like a realization, like a near death experience, or what was it?
Well, what it was really pretty simple. I had almost died skydiving years earlier, but that wasn't a traditional NDE. The experience of the crown opening was simply forgiving. It was my time, to that was, whatever you want to call it, karmically ready or whatever. And I did it selfishly, interestingly enough. I did it because I was like, I'm not going to get anything out of my resentments at all. Nobody's going to give me even a cup of coffee at McDonald's for what happened. But if I do forgive, I might have these other abilities over here.
So you just stepped through the door. You saw the door and you just stepped through the door and you did the work.
I stepped through the door and did it. And I was not ready. Not ready. I mean, that experience was like getting a shot of morphine and having 8 beers.
Oh
You
my
know,
God. Yeah.
you would
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, go to sleep at night. You know, like everybody likes to have one or two, right?
Yeah.
You know, 'cause, you know, we'll take a little bit of this or that, drink
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if you're on that roller coaster for a week
A
and then
long time.
a year and 2 years and 3 years, and you're just like, whoa, I shouldn't be driving, you know, because I'm that, ooh, I'm lit, you know, and that's how it is. But also
Yeah.
that all that stuff, you know, that I had wanted, right? Oh my God, you know, well, what's okay, let's play a game. You know, what's coming around the corner next? You know, oh, it'll be girl, yellow dress, about midway, flowers on it. Whoa.
So you were just manifesting whatever you wanted, experience you wanted to have in your life, or whoever you wanted to come into your life. You were just able to manifest it. And would you call this a non-duality experience, or would you call this enlightenment, or what is it like? What happened to Eckhart Tolle when he got so depressed and sat on that bench? What would you ascribe it to, or is there a way to? Do you want to even describe it?
I don't have good words. What I can say, you know, there was a lot of physical sensations that went along with it, and it was a journey that has not ended. You know, it just kept going.
This is the experience, I think, of that. And it's interesting because a lot of times when I talk to people, we talked to a couple of people on this show that have had a similar experience where suddenly the world opens up, suddenly they're not depressed anymore, suddenly they have all this energy and they see the world for what it is. And some people do call it non-duality, some people do call it enlightenment, but it seems to happen not necessarily because the person climbed some specific ladder or learned some specific process. Sometimes it just seems to happen all at once, which seems beautiful, but also a little scary, probably.
Very disruptive. Very, very disruptive. You know, you go from, you know, like, you know, your entire world, right, is this. You know, I call it 100% service to self.
Mm-hmm.
To, I literally can, I'm compelled to serve others. I cannot help it, and it's joyful.
Do you see yourself as separate from others, or do you see yourself as one with them? How do you see it?
I see. That's an interesting question. You know, I used to to compare and contrast, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all on a journey, and where my particular journey, I very much saw others separate. I didn't like them, and as I say, you know, I didn't like myself either.
Yeah, and they were probably a representation of you.
Right. Yeah, I didn't like me. I didn't like them either.
Don't like them.
You know?
They're thinking horrible things about me because I'm thinking horrible things about me. You know?
Yeah. And then it became over here, right? I see the good in them. I see myself in them. I have, like, I get it. I know. I get you, my brother. You know, we're going down this road, man. I know it's hard. I know, right? Yeah. So that's kind of how it feels.
That is beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to bring Liz on, and we're going to talk about some of the techniques that you've come up with to help other people, because clearly both of you just had a calling.
Oh my God. Well, you know, it is, Liz, you know, this is some sort of karmic destiny, that because we have come up with things that are just mind-blowing to help people. And we do it 7 days a week. And it brings us both joy. We talk and we're like, oh my God, can you believe it? Can you believe what happened? It's so fun. What we do and what the practitioners do, you know, is a blast. So I'm looking forward to sharing stuff with everybody.
Oh,
Welcome
cool.
back.
Let's get it going. All right, now we're both here. We got to do another round of applause for Liz and Bill.
We got to get one of these for our radio show, Liz. We got to
You
get
do.
to
You
No,
gotta
we
get
did
it.
it. It's so good. Applause button.
I need an applause button. This thing's awesome.
Hey, can I just say thank you, Lalitha? That was such a lovely comment.
That
and
was
that
lovely.
really touches my heart. Thank you so much.
That's nice. Jose says you're going to make her blush. Yeah. Oh, well, okay. So this is so incredible. So both of you had this calling. Liz, did you then find Bill, or how did Bill find you? How'd you find each other?
So it's a little bit, it's weird on our end, but I guess maybe it'll make super common sense to you. My friend and I in Ashland, Oregon, we were just putting on what we called a healer circle and bringing local people together, teaching them some things, but also bringing in some people to, to speak and to teach and that kind of stuff. And I was watching Gaia TV, and here comes Bill McKenna's face.
Yeah.
And I am just not a fangirl at all of any kind. You know what I mean? Like, just not. Like, celebrity doesn't impress me. It's just, So, but here's Bill, and the message that he had. It's an episode on Gaia called A Simple Method for Healing, right, Bill? Simple Method for Healing. And he was sharing a little skill, a tool that could help people change everything. And he wasn't selling anything. He just thought everyone should know this thing.
I also am a subscriber to Gaia and saw Bill on there as well. And I was like, wow, look at this.
Yeah, it was his first ever interview on there. And now I think there's 7. Wow. And I thought, that's cool. I like this. I wonder if he'd be willing to come in and present to our group. So I reached out and Bill answered, and we ended up doing an event together and then ended up talking like every day after that, just collaborating on things. And one day, maybe 8 or 9 months in, Bill had this idea, and that's where it started. But literally, I live in Southern Oregon. Bill lives in Southern California. We have absolutely no reason to know each other. And yet I think we probably recognized each other the minute we got in contact. So that's how it happened.
Bill, can you tell us like some of the processes that you've developed together?
Okay. Well, my gosh, this is it's like a global collaboration. It's the things that we've been able to bring forward to speed up manifesting and to process the myriad of life experiences, like it don't feel good, right? Whatever that is, it don't feel good, is to make that go away permanently. And on the upside is to give somebody tools that they can utilize to speed up the manifesting process, meaning what they want in life. And these are, interestingly enough, these are all done through the physical body. Yeah. One of the things that we had developed here is a method. We call it Cogno quantum. It is for manifesting, and it utilizes not only your body, it uses the field around you. And we discovered basically that your manifestation, if you, let's say, for example, I want to manifest a new iPhone, right? This iPhone, before this iPhone comes into your life, it actually becomes dense in the field that surrounds you, in your auric field. And then over a period of time, what happens, it actually energetically becomes denser and denser and moves down through a transducer of your body. When I say transducer, Mm-hmm. Since your people all know about chakras, the chakra system is a transducer. This is a very high frequency. You're getting inspiration. You are thinking about this manifestation. I want a new motorcycle. Well, motorcycle. Why do I want a motorcycle? Oh, I think motorcycle, a nice green motorcycle. Hey, I think I start speaking about it. Green motorcycle. I'll start feeling, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. And then and then it comes down to the belly. I'm going to start going out and looking at motorcycles. Yeah. I'm going to physically start acting. You get down to the lower creative centers, and it is lower and slower and denser. These are represented by those different colors that you have there, and it slowly becomes more and more dense. The slowest frequency is your base chakra. And this base chakra is at the base of your torso. It is where you make life. It is the lowest vibration, closest to the physical dimension. So one of the things that we had done is have a methodology to bring something from thought to thing rapidly. So this is, many people that are listening have heard, manifesting, law of attraction, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you've got to feel as if you have it and that sort of thing. You got to see the Ferrari in your driveway. You got to, but it still is a wanting. And one of the things that this methodology, once you learn it and do it, is you'll notice, you're like, when it goes through the process and the manifestation actually moves into that base chakra, it's like I'm at the iPhone store and I got my credit card. I'm like, hey, you got the one with the, okay, here we go. And you feel like the iPhone's mine, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it feels. So what happens is when you do this process, you're not pretending. You're not wanting anymore. You're like, it's going down. And that's about how it is. That's just one of the things we developed. There are so many more. There is another thing that we had developed, that we had discovered that all of us have a very specific position of our eyes, that when your eye is in this position, that you feel immense love, immense gratitude, immense joy. And guess what? It's different for you, and you. Everybody, it's unique. It's a unique position. And it's just a micro. I mean, it is so fine, but when you find it, imagine that you could just put your eyes into this position, and the person that you've resented all of your life, all of a sudden, I have compassion for them. I don't think about them in resentment anymore. Like that. There are so many things that Liz has come up with and developed, and Liz is you heard the fountain of youth. Yeah. Liz is the fountain of inspiration and ideas.
Liz, can you tell us that? How does somebody how do you find this eye position? And how did you discover this? How did you
so this one actually, Bill, recently, we want to say discovered, but it's a natural evolution of what we're doing already.
Yeah.
So what we know is that in certain eye positions, they connect to a place in your brain, an actual file. If you're old enough, the Dewey Decimal System, the file cabinet.
Of course.
Or if you just Google now. But
amateur librarian over here. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a place in your brain. And how do we access the files in our brain? Through our eyes. So if I were to ask you right now, think of what you're going to do next week.
I always do this because I see myself on the show do this when I'm doing stand-up or something.
That's where it is. If I just told you, hey, think about the problem and tell me what you're going to do. Most people are going to go like this, right? ideas and inspiration, we access those. We access the past and the future. It's how body language people can tell if someone's lying. It's one of the ways. There's many. But where the eyes move to creation or to to memory. But what we discovered is that these eye positions can also find one end of a neural pathway. So that can be a neural pathway for trauma, or it can be a neural pathway for joy, or what Bill's talking about is one neural pathway for, unconditional love. But the body actually has a neural pathway for each of these. It just spends more time on the ones that it's trying to keep us safe, the problem ones, than these gorgeous ones. So when we move the eyes into specific positions for many, many things, we get different results. And this one just happens to be a place where it's so strong, that neural pathway in the body, that you can start to add other things into it and adjust how your body feels about them. When the body adjusts how it feels about them, the brain changes instantly with it. So we are just adding something to an already well-established neural pathway. So how you find it is you bring up that feeling in the body. We make sure that's well-established. And then we use our handy dandy little Cogno ball, and we start to search for that neural pathway. Interestingly enough, we use a similar thing to manifest with. We triangulate a spot in the field around your body, a place cell in the brain, and a feeling in the body. So, it's all a part of an overall system, but that's the idea.
That is
There's
so
our
cool.
ball.
So here's the ball in front of my face here. Can you tell me about this ball? It clearly has some chakras on it. And
you want to handle that, Bill?
Yeah. What do you do? What do you do with the ball?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, the ball is just a tool, right? It's just a tool. And the tool has many, many purposes. So the first purpose is that the left brain, it sees color and symbols. The right brain, so left brain is where your stress is. It's your logic, right? And then right brain is our creative end, and it's where no stress exists, right? So the right brain sees three-dimensional objects and where they are at in time and space. Left brain is seeing color and symbol. We will take this and we move this ball while we're focused on a particular issue. So it basically is causing movement because your eyes and your brain are one. Your eyes, brain, and spinal cord are one neurological system. So when we move the ball while focused on, let's say, I hate my dad, what we're doing is we're moving information into different parts of the brain. And there's a lot to this, but that's one use.
So you're focusing on say, resentment, say like some feeling that you don't want to have. And, and you take this ball and you just pass it back and forth, right? And you're looking at whatever colors come up and saying them, like yellow and blue and green or whatever, purple. And as you pass the ball back and forth, and because there's a physical thing going on, you're utilizing like both sides of your brain. Like you're pulling stuff out of one side of the brain and putting it in the other side of the brain. You're kind of refiling it, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's one way to express it. There is not only doing it bilaterally, but we also use the outer edges of the periphery of the vision, and we'll utilize it to find where, for example, an objection to your manifestation. Let's say there's people, an objection, and
super interesting.
So like right now, everybody who's watching this, they all have their own goal. I want to be famous. I want to win the lottery. I want this. I want that. But if you haven't done it today, if it has not shown up, you have a hidden objection. You have a fear around it. And that fear what it does is it keeps it stuck. It's the resistance to it. Like, for example, like, the lottery. If I win the lottery, okay, it's like, oh God, yes, right? But for most of us, once we look a little deeper, we're like, oh, whoa, you know what? Now the cameraman's outside my house, the TV station. Oh my gosh. And my uncle, he's an alcoholic and he's going to sue me. Oh God, I've had this before. We have clients, and clients like, well, if I win, then, my husband I'm separated from would get half. And it's like, I don't want that. I can't. No.
Do you think that your mind has thought through these things? Because a lot of times, when people want something, they're not specific enough about it. They haven't actually felt it there or seen it there. And then now they're seeing it there and they're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't. But your mind has already processed that?
It's already there. And what happens is we can see it in your eyes.
Really?
You're like, I'm going to win the lottery. And we will take that cognomovement ball and move it and focus. It's like, oh, yes, the lottery. Wonderful. And then you'll be, it's
like blinking a lot, or what happens? What do you see?
Well, Liz?
Yeah, Liz.
Well, all kinds of things. We've seen the eyes, the pupils dilate separately. We've seen one eye stay still and one go circular.
Really?
Mostly there is what's called an nystagmus or nystagmus where the eyes jitter, but sometimes they just literally close like that. The body's like, nope, and shut right down. But I want to amend what we're saying just a tiny bit, because it's not the brain. The brain follows along with what the body feels. So the brain will hold the neural pattern, but if you think about winning the lottery and then you quickly go through all those things Bill just said, and also, or maybe you're going to solve homelessness and you quickly realize it's not possible. Mm-hmm. There's a correlating sensation. It may be a tiny twinge. The gut constricts just a little. You feel it here in the throat. Maybe there's a little headache. Maybe your big toe starts throbbing. There's a feeling in the body that goes with this. So you guys said, where do you think about it? Yeah, you probably run the scenario, but you've also heard it. You've seen it on TV. Your parents talked about it. You may have experienced someone's opinion about it at one time. And all of those things are running in your body, creating an opinion about this thing. Your body has an opinion about the lotto.
Your body has an opinion different from your conscious mind or what you think your opinion is.
Well, the opinion runs both ways. It's body, mind, round and round. And they encourage each other like, hey, that really sucks, right? Yep, that sucks big time. Send a signal down, more feeling. Yeah, that really sucks big time. Send it back up to the brain. Yeah, it sucks big time. Yeah. And so we'll create these stories. Remember I said in the beginning that we know a story will change in about 5 seconds, 35 seconds, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how it happens. The body drives a feeling that gives the brain the opinion about what do we think about this? Is good, bad, right? We need it to happen that way. So if a lion walks in the room, we know to run without thinking about whether or not it's cute.
Right.
We just need that. So it's really this combination of things. And when you think about that thing that you want, and there's anything other than, right? The body lights up and you're feeling juicy. And if you're not, what Bill said is you've got an objection. But it's really not so much here. If you're in our practitioner program, you'll see me wear a hole in my forehead. It's the whole system that has to shift slightly to allow for a new signal, a signal that's like, right? And what Bill said is right. As soon as that's open, what we've seen is right now. It's been standing right outside your gate and it walks right in. So again and again, we've witnessed it. Unbelievable, miraculous things when you're able to clear the block out of the neurology, out of the system entirely.
Wow. I want to see if we can get some stories out of you about this. Let's see what happens. Okay. So I'm sure you have a million stories, but can you tell, Bill, can you tell me a story about when that has happened where somebody has said a block like that and it just suddenly clears? And I don't know whether it's a physical thing or what.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. It's visceral. So one of the things about our work is that it's the strangest thing. So because your audience now knows about chakras, literally when you do this work, you will feel you will feel it in your body. I'll give an example. Like the very first Cogno movement session ever.
Yeah.
I just had the, idea that, I think this may work. And, I did, made a ball and did a session for a friend of mine that I'd known since I was in college. And now I'm a little bit older than college.
Yeah.
But we did the session and I just said, okay, I want you to focus on a problem. I know you got a problem. Don't tell me about it. I don't need to know. Yeah. And I just did this Cogno movement session, and it was like maybe a few minutes in, he started sweating profusely. And I'm throwing a little ball back and forth.
Yeah.
And he is like just absolutely just drenched. And I'm laughing because he says, my belly button is so hot. That was, it's so hot. And I was like, that's about the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
My belly button's hot. Whose belly button gets hot? Right? That's weird. Right? And then, we kept doing it. I said, just keep focused on the thing, the big problem. And then it was only a few minutes later, and he was like, I'm going to have a heart attack. He was like, my heart. And I was like, no, it's not. I said, it's not. Is your belly button hot? No, but my heart, I'm going to have a heart attack. I was like, keep going. You're not going to have a heart attack. Another couple of minutes later, he started choking. He was like, I can't breathe.
Oh my God, he's going right through all the shock chakras.
And I was like, how's your heart? Is it heart's fine? Heart's fine. And so and I said, keep going. And then his voice was like, I can breathe. He said, my head. He says, is it my head hurts? And then it was gone. And so it was I was giving him a ride to the airport after, and I was like, that's weird. He was like, he says, I said, what's going on? What happened? He said, it was the weirdest thing. He said, I just don't feel that way anymore, and I can't connect with that problem. I feel nothing about it. And I was like, wow, that was weird. So anyway, hit the fast forward button. Several months later, the husband and wife are over at the house, and the wife says, you know what? We bought 2 houses in Utah. And, we actually got these houses where they're cash flowing day one, right? We're getting cash flow, and we're actually able not only to have the houses being paid down, but also we created, they had a little separate garage area, and they made an apartment out of it, and we're making like $1,000 something a month on that too. And there was and we're paying off the house with that too. And she said, Bill, this was all possible after that thing that you did.
Really?
And, with my friend. And I was like, and what was that thing? And he was like, well, he was working in the defense industry. He's coming up on retirement. And he said, I was so afraid because my retirement plan was buy a trailer and move out to the middle of the desert, and like tumbleweeds and whiskey, it's like,
leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah, totally. That's it, man. That's the retirement plan. It's like, and that was it. And it was like, you know what? And after that, the block was undone. It was like, oh, I can buy property and cash flow day one. I can do that. Oh, I can, and anyway, now enough time has passed, hit the fast forward button. The guy, everything's paid off. He's retired. He says, I got more money than I can spend every month.
Wow.
So, just an amazing story about the cycle. That was the very first Cogno movement cycle, but that was just that. I mean, the other stuff that's happened, God, we could go on all day, but it's mind blowing. That was just finances. The things with relationships are so mind-blowing. Liz, can you?
Yeah, can you grace us with a story?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of my most favorite. It's recent. It's from the last 12 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this big event every year. It's called the Cogno Conscious Event, where it's like fast and furious, moving people up the consciousness ladder through deleting these kind of blocks out of their physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So during this event, our team is there, we're there, and one of us is leading, and the rest of us are actually helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And so this lovely human that was there, she's starting to struggle a bit. So I rush in, and I got this opportunity to witness what I'm about to tell you next.
Mm-hmm.
So she's crying, her face is bright red, she's literally shaking, her body's a little bit in shock.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying to me, my mom wants to kill me. My mom is so dangerous. She's like the devil. And I'm like, wow, I mean, this person must be terrible,
Yeah.
She's the devil. She wants to kill me. She's so, so bad. She just hates me. And so we're moving, and as we move, we're literally moving the body through its own natural ability to create change.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show you, I'm moving up the body. About here, we're in neutrality. About here, we're in ideas and inspiration. So I'm moving her up, and I'm in it, and I'm watching her neurology, like I said, and I'm staying out of the story, but I'm like, wow, and we get about here. We're literally 3 to 5 minutes in, and she goes, oh, actually, that's not true. I'm my mom's favorite.
What?
We stay cool, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. She's like, my mom really, really loves me, and I am her favorite because I'm the most successful. I look a little different than them, but I'm actually her favorite, and she's really, really proud of me. So I said, okay, we always backtrack. So when we started, you said your mom was the devil. She's like, what? I'm
Doesn't
like,
even remember it.
what? And so I just waited. I lifted my eyebrows. I'm like, and she's like, oh, I did say that. Okay. So the manifestation is this. She had a business she'd been trying to sell for 10 or 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
The property of the business butts up against her mother's property.
Mm.
Okay. No offers, nothing of any value, no offers at all. Just couldn't sell it. And she wanted to sell this business and move on in her life and start, something else completely. It's an expensive millions and millions of dollar business. The minute that session was over, she's feeling better. My mom loves me. It's amazing. Face is glowing, body's glowing. She goes over and checks her text messages. And what does she have? But a real viable offer for that business. And it sold 3 months later. It took some time. It was a big business. But when she went home and told her mom, I've got this offer. Her mom's like, fantastic. Great work. No issue, no pushback, no nothing. Her block was what was holding this literally out of her field of influence was, I think my mom's going to throw a fit about this property boundary. But the spooky part is instantly during that session, we think that offer came in, and it's the one that sold the property.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I want to ask you all about how you measure these things. So let's get into that real quick.
Awesome.
All right. So, so there are methods that you have for measuring people's brainwaves and their aura and their chakras. Can you tell us a little bit about how you do that? Maybe Bill could start.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a device, and it's called BioWell. Dr. Konstantin Kronikov, I might have butchered up his name, but he's out of the University of St. Petersburg in Russia, and he's a physicist that studies photons, and that's what he's about.
Yeah.
What they had done with this device is they combined Kirlian photography with the information that's been known for millennia, Korean fingertip acupuncture. So the Koreans had figured out, oh, this is your right eye. This is your spleen. This is over here on this side is your right jaw, and over here is your left eye. So they knew all of this information. And what they had done with this biowell is mapped that information over, and with utilizing Kirlian photography, they were actually able to figure out the emanation of biophotons out of your hands. Has everything to do with the amount of voltage in the body. So they were able to figure out your chakra system and how much energy or voltage, and how much life force energy through your fingertips. They can map everything. They can figure out, like, your sympathetic, parasympathetic, in your spleen or in your liver.
So they can map out the actual organs, sort of like acupressure when they map out your foot and they've got, you press here and it's your stomach or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, we utilize one of those devices. There's thousands and thousands of them around the globe. You can go and get a reading anywhere in the world with one. And anyway, we can actually tell, like, what happens with a person before and after a session. For example, we had one session, real quick. There was a woman came in, and she really resented her husband, and she like, I just don't want to feel so angry. I'm getting a divorce. I've got 3 kids, and I just want a peaceful divorce. But she was incredibly angry. To say, okay, well, we took a reading before, and then we did the session to basically help her not to be so angry as she's going through the divorce. Anyway, bottom line is, not only because of the session, we eliminated all of her anger. She actually, after the anger was gone, right? There's only love and fear. If you get rid of that fear, that's anger, right? And it was replaced with love automatically. And her voltage, every single organ in her body jumped double the voltage and went into balance in between sympathetic, parasympathetic. Amazing. And one of those lessons, not to be too spiritual here, but what we hold against another is held against us.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Really, it's going to, it actually, right in your body, you can measure it. So that's the way we measure it. Although Liz has actually engaged multiple different brain scans, of actual brain scans. Liz,
electroencephalograms and things like that, or tell me about
Liz. A number of different ones. The one at SciTech is a PET scan. Is that correct, Bill?
You know what? I forget the names of everything, but they measure all the brainwave.
You can actually, they put those electrodes on your head, and they can actually see where you're thinking or where the activity is in your brain. I've heard it said too that there's actually energy on the outside of measurable energy on the outside of your head, and someday probably they'll be able to read that from a distance. Don't you think? It might happen. They can, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's called, and these are in universities around the globe. You can look it up. It's magnetoencephalography. And the actual device has the actual measuring devices outside, not attached to your head. It's out in space. Oh my God. And when you think a thought, bing, the electrical charge, and they can map it to a particular part of the brain. So they use these. Anyway, it's fascinating technology, but it proves that our thoughts are non-local.
Yeah. So I looked it up because I couldn't remember. It's a P300 QEEG brain mapping system. SciTech Labs did the testing on this one, and what we discovered was that the brain under stress is using so much energy, this voltage Bill's talking about, to try to answer simple questions. Cognitive testing is being done during it. And that's where they get the reading. I mean, they're all of the head is covered in sensors, and they're doing cognitive testing. And the brain is slow because it's trying so hard. And what it looks like is a beehive of neurons firing, trying to solve the problem. After a 45-minute Cogno movement session in which we handled a stressful situation in this person's life, it looks like the brain simply choosing the answer, and the person's 30% faster. Their cognition is higher.
I would think you have more energy too, right? More energy.
Well, that's just exactly it, because the brain is not gobbling and consuming energy. And with this test, this confirms something Bill and I were seeing on physical bodies, but didn't know because we couldn't see the inside of the body. We knew that these traumas, these issues in a person's life, remember I said it's a pattern between the brain and the body, the brain and the body? Well, that's all done on your power lines with voltage. It's electromagnetic, hormonal, and chemical. And those big problems in our life where our mind and body are just so focused on them, they suck our energy right down. And this brain scan showed that. It showed the brain literally firing in all directions. And this is a high functioning person already with their brain acting like that. As soon as the trauma in the body, the problem was resolved, the pattern no longer ran in its cycle. The brain actually was able to choose very easily. You gain an IQ points actually, because you now have access to parts of your brain simply and easily, and you're not gobbling energy. And we've had several other kinds of brain scans done which show resting heart rates and perspiration and all that kind of thing. But they all show the same thing. When you are in a state of fight or flight, your body is utilizing energy for that, not for healing, not for thinking, not for loving, not for manifesting, not for choosing life, not for thriving. It's just focused on getting the lion off your ass, which is whatever that problem is, the fight or flight system, right?
I think so much of us, we just spend so much time just going over and over and over again.
That's exactly
resentments
right.
that we have that we wish we're not around.
That's what the body does. So what Bill and I discovered is that we can collapse that singular pattern, return the voltage to the body, return the focus back to things like cognitive skills, thinking, loving, manifesting, thriving, digesting our food, healing the parts of our body that need healed. So ultimately, it's really about returning your horsepower back to you, back to your natural state. So the brain scans have been fascinating, but for us, that's the thing that was important. That's what they showed. You actually get your horsepower back.
Yeah, which is big too as you get older too, because people are like, oh, you get older, you get more tired, and maybe that's just an accumulation of all this stuff from a lifetime of doing this. I don't know.
Yeah, we see people instantly after a session, they'll look 10 years younger. It's amazing. The face broadens because when you're in stress, you're like this. The face broadens, the eyes open, the forehead lifts, the glow returns to their skin. So a person will automatically look way younger and actually way healthier and more vital. So for some of us, that's important.
Yeah, I want to look at your website and some of the services you offer, just so people, if they want to get involved in this. You have a cognomovement.com website, right? Is this where people should go to this website to contact you and see if? And there are other practitioners of this around too, right?
Yep, around the world at this point.
Wow. Okay, so
with the same information, right? The same.
Do you train these people too?
Yeah, absolutely. We train practitioners. That's the love of Bill's in my life is our practitioner program, because we get to see people, one, become who they were always meant to be, become powerful creators in helping other people. And we get to see this particular modality spread around the world and create massive change. So for us, that's a big deal.
Does it only happen in person, or do you do this over the phone, or can you do any of this over
Not
the
phone,
Zoom
but Zoom.
Anything? Yeah.
Zoom. We need to have eyes on people. Of course, there's nothing like an in-person session. That's everything. But we do it worldwide via Zoom every day. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say? Bill, did you want to say anything before we're going to have to end the show because we're over time?
Hey, God, thank you for having us, man. That was
Thank
awesome.
Super fun, super interesting. Yes, I appreciate both of you for being on here. I'm going to break it to you right now at the very
Wait, wait,
end.
wait.
What? What, Blas?
Wait. I'm sorry. I had to get a different pair of glasses, so
Okay.
because I couldn't see out of the other one. Um,
Yeah.
but
What are you going to say?
like there's at least the conversations between families and certain things that are blocking you from being who you originally supposed to be. Like with certain friends and families, I would say as you get older, when you're communicating with them, a lot of your past stuff starts to come up, and it makes it harder to communicate. Or you're thinking, how do I do this? How do I bring up these subjects? How do I bring up these conversations? And with the generational gaps, you're usually dealing with mindset. The older you get, you're allowed to say things like, "Oh, I'm older. I'm old school. I don't do that. I can't do that." Or "I don't think like that." Or "I don't." What are you talking about, therapist? What are you talking about, counselor? We don't do that. For years, I used to say, "I don't go to therapy. I don't do counselors." I said, "I got my aunt. My aunt Darlene is she's the one I go to. She's the one I talk to." But then as you get older, you start to realize things, especially this environment that we have, where mindfulness and mind awareness is important, especially with the psychology of everything that you're dealing with. It's starting to open, and everybody can talk about it, and it's free to talk about. And older generations are usually, "Oh my God, here we go now." Now that's their excuse. So I'm just saying, as far as communicating uh, and trying to be open and stuff, and bringing up that hard subject. Uh, what is at least one thing you think you can approach it on, as far as bringing it up so it doesn't get contentious, so it doesn't 15 minutes later you're arguing. you know that's one of the things I'm like. I think that's one of the things that, as I get older, I see happening around me. I see myself going, "Oh
So
man, I
you're
gotta
saying
talk to my
basically,
aunt."
what do you do with someone who's like closed-minded about this? Can they gain any kind of
Yeah,
benefit from
without it
this?
turning into an argument, or
Yeah.
without because you're trying to open up to this
Do you
person, and
have
the
to
other person just.
believe in it for it to work? I guess maybe is one of the questions. But also, I imagine you can't drag somebody in and say, "I'm going to cogno movement you."
Yeah. Well, also the other people, you know what I mean? If they don't, if you believe in it, other people don't believe in it. It's hard to share
You know what I
information until
find, and I'll
somebody.
just say this: I find that if you do something and you get benefits from it, and it's visible on you, other people are going to be like, "Hey, I want some of that too."
Hey, Bill, share what happens when a person does a session on themselves for the other guy.
So this is we'll bring out a little bit of the quantum effect of doing cogno movement. What you do is, if you have a situation where you are, let's say, anxious about, you think that they could really use, a session or something like that, you want to talk to them about getting some help.
Mhm.
You do a cogno movement on yourself, around how you feel about them. Oh, my brother is this way and he needs help with his anger or whatever. Or and the most amazing thing happens. You work on you and the other person changes.
Oh yeah,
It
there's a
is
thing
the
about that, right?
quantum, the cogno relationship effect. It's the strangest dynamic, but we see this. I mean, we laugh about it every week. I mean, it's just standard operating procedure. Though there was a lady, just to show you the effect of this.
Mm-hmm.
There is one of our practitioners in Australia who their child was developmentally disabled to the point where nonverbal, and she is now something like about 10 years old, and had been basically uh, since she ever could, she reach in her diaper, pull out the poo poo, and
No.
make it on, make
Ooh.
it on, right? And so, you can imagine how many times a day this is going on. Bring a new couch in, guess what's happening?
Oh
We're going to have a
no.
little artwork here. It's constantly cleaning. Exactly.
Yeah.
Constantly cleaning up. Now, the amazing thing, and this is an illustrate how this works.
Uh-huh.
For a decade, you can imagine the frustration with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody. I mean, that would be hell for me, right? But she ends up doing this session, and she finds when she does it, she has all these emotions that come up from her childhood. And she ends up clearing it, just like we talked about before. You know, it happens. Mm-hmm. You're not even going to believe it. The kid stopped doing it.
I can totally believe that.
Not a word spoken.
Isn't that
not
incredible?
A word. It's just like not interested anymore.
I find that with my cat. Like my cat will get all agitated. I'm like, what's wrong with my cat? And then I realize I'm agitated. And it's just drawing on my energy. It's just doing the same thing, you know? So
let me add one thing to that because I know we have to go. Yeah. And everyone's going to hate it a lot. But if you're experiencing it, it's in your field. You have a match in your field, and we hold people in our orbit. Mm-hmm. So my story about the gal she said, my mother's the devil, that was their relationship until her body was no longer a match for that. And guess what? Her mother's no longer the devil. And we could repeat that story of 100-fold over of people we've seen that exact thing happen to, where you change your perspective physically, emotionally, consciously, spiritually. You're no longer emanating that opinion about that person. And shockingly and instantly, they don't appear that way anymore. Probably to everyone else, they weren't that way, but to you, they were. We hold people in our orbit.
And we also don't want to take responsibility for that. But there's actually a lot of more control in your life if you are responsible, because then you can change and they change, you know, or seemingly change, you know. So you actually are in more control, and that's actually a good thing because you're not a victim and the world's not happening to you. Yeah.
So you know what's interesting, right? So say... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But say you have a perception of somebody, right? And you're holding on to that. So that person has, in your relationship, they have that perception. So cognitively, I don't even know if that word
cognomovement
pronounced right. But if you change it and that person you start to perceive that person differently, right? But the person has 10 other children. And everybody's got their perception on that one person, right? Like a parent or a relative. And yours changes and you start to see that person differently. The other people are still perceiving that person the way they see that person. You know what I mean? And you get a different reflection. You get a different relationship or conversation with that person based on how you perceive them. But everybody still has their each individual relationship with that person. So it's not like the person changes for everybody's health. It's your health. Your health changes, reflects on the person relationships you have, and those relationships benefit from the gifts and the perception that you have on them. I easily agree with that. Easily. That makes complete sense.
Now that we're all in agreement, we're going to have to dance it out. So at the end, I play a...
you guys were great.
Yeah, you were so wonderful. Let's hear some applause.
You guys were great. We'd love to have you back on anytime.
Yes, anytime. There's so much to talk about here. And I've been watching, you know, I just want to say you can go to the website, you can watch videos, and they even have the sessions on there, like you were helping kids with their sports and all kinds of things, all kinds of different people. I'm going to put the website on the screen. Yes.
And we have a ton of stuff on YouTube too. Our channel's not huge, but there's a massive amount of information there. Okay. And you can also find us at UK Health Radio. We have a podcast there as well.
Okay, great. Cognomovement.com. There's the website. It's also going to be on the last screen after we dance. I haven't told them that we're going to be dancing in our seats here at the very end. We have a YouTube cover song. I'm going to play a little bit of it. We're going to dance it out, and then that's the end of the show. So feel free.
You're welcome to hang out, you guys, if you want to.
Yeah. All right.
And,
thanks, you guys.
I'm sure we'll have you back on again. Thank you so much, Bill and Liz.
All right. Okay. This is Lexington Lab Band. Whoop, I messed that up. This is Lexington Lab Band. They are a cover band. And this is the Police.
Though I've tried before to tell her
fretless bass. Aren't they good? That guy's got a nice voice. Big shoes to fill.
It's a big enough umbrella, but it's always me that ends up getting wet. Every little thing she does
One more
is
chorus.
magic. Everything she do just turn me on. Even though my
Like Lexington's Lab Band, go to their YouTube channel. Thank you so much to them, and thank you both for being on the show. We hope that you'll join us again.
I resolve to call her
It's clear.
a
Just want to
thousand
recommend
times
it
a
to you.
day.
Tina Adams
Ask
up
her
there in
if
Edmonds,
she'll
Washington. Thanks everybody for
Some
joining in.
old-fashioned way.
Please share this with your
But my
friends.
side of fears have ripped me long before I reach the phone. Long before my tongue has tripped me. Must I always be alone?
Woo! Good show.
All right, that's great.
How fun.